or not?
Hello and welcome. We have an exciting session coming up. Today we have Emma Fabro, who is the founder of her practice, Fusion Accountants, based in Adelaide. She focuses on supporting micro and small businesses, helping them to understand their numbers and their tax obligations. She is well recognized in her field as one of the top 50 pro advisors of 2025. Please welcome Emma on our virtual stage. Emma.
Thank you everybody for joining me on the call today. So today, as part of our end of financial year webinars, we're looking again, workload to workflow. And specifically today, we're looking at client conversations done differently. So before we get started, just a little bit of housekeeping. So today's session is being recorded and it will be sent to everybody who is registered for the call. Please ask questions using the question box on the right-hand side and leave your event feedback in the survey form after the webinar. If you do have any technical difficulties, please restart your device or refresh your browser if you can't see or hear the presentation properly. Maximize the screen and that will give you the best options to see the demo. Again, if you do have any problems, refresh your browser, but you will be sent a copy of the webinar. So as we said, my name is Emma Fabro. It's my pleasure to be here today for this webinar. So let's jump into our content. So we're talking today about client conversations done differently. And as part of our end of financial year series, we're talking about taking stock, taking a pause, taking a moment to work in our practices and on our practices, not just in our practices. So giving us a moment to reflect on successes, but also to give us an area to look at where we may need to make some adjustments, improvements, efficiencies, etc. So like I said, today specifically, we're talking about client conversations. And what I'm going to talk about in particular is preparing for client conversations. So why are they important? Why do we need to talk to clients? Who should we be having them with? And why do clients leave us? So that's a key thing, is if we are having clients who are leaving our practice, why is that? Identifying opportunities for retention and growth. So we know based on sort of research, it's always easier to retain clients and it's more cost effective to keep the clients we've got than to onboard new clients. So looking here at what do our clients really need from us and how could we meet those needs better? So we'll deep dive into that in a minute. So navigating difficult topics, and we'll talk more about this, but what is on our hit list for 2025-26? So preparing, like I said, for client conversations. So first of all, why are they important? Our clients are our bread and butter. Our clients are how we get revenue as sole practitioners, as business owners, as owners of big firms. It's our clients who generate our revenues. We are service-based businesses. So client success equals our success. So it's a beautiful win-win scenario. If we've got clients who are doing well and who are successful, it brings us success in our practices. Building stronger relationships. So leading on from the success is if we've got great client relationships, we're going to make those stronger and better. Showcasing our value and justifying our fees. So as I said, we are service-based businesses. So sometimes there's not a physical thing. It's not that we're selling a particular object to our clients, but often it is seen that we're selling a service to our clients. So we want our clients to understand the value behind that. So important as well, because these are opportunities to propose and explain new services. And so as we've changed and evolved, and even if we go back just a few years to when STP was introduced, it became a new service that we were able to offer clients. We've always got new services that we can offer. Our compliance are changing. We've seen changes over this last several years, and there are more changes that are to come. So it gives us opportunities to be able to propose and offer new services to our existing clients. So we want the opportunity with clients to have conversations about new and improved processes. So just as our services might change, our processes may change. And we've seen technology evolve, and technology evolves so quickly. And so within our practices, we're doing things a little bit differently. We're offering new things. We're using new technology. So we want to be able to talk to our clients about that and make sure our clients are aware of what we've done and what we've changed in terms of our technology and our offerings. So resetting engagements. So in terms of having conversations with clients, and part of end of financial year, we want to be taking that stock. We want to be looking at our client engagements and looking at the scope. Is there scope creep? Are we offering services to our clients that we're not actually charging properly for? Have things crept in that we haven't actually had previously in our engagement offerings? So we want to be looking at that, what we're offering clients. We want to be looking at the pricing and at the expectations. So all of those three fall into that resetting the engagement. So this is the time to do that reflection, to look at all of those criteria. And do we need to re-engage our clients, reset our pricing, reset the scope in terms of what we're offering, and in terms of our client expectations on us? So leading on from that, we want to address any problematic issues before they get worse. So the reality is that as much as we would like to have things ship-shape and as perfect as we would like them, we do have clients that may be problematic, that we may be offering services to that we're not charging properly, or that we're giving additional work and we're just not getting the revenue for that. So we want to now be able to address those issues before they get any worse. Leading on from that again is improving culture and happiness and stress levels. So whether you're in a big firm and you've got a big team, or whether you're working as a sole practitioner, we want to have a great culture within our workplace. We want happiness and we want reduced stress levels. So part of the initial conversation, and so I've got a comment here, to engage or not to engage. So what I want you to take stock of here is that if you offer your clients or potential clients, as they are before they become a client, a lot of us offer a potential client a free consult, whether that's a 15-minute or 30-minute or 45-minute. But I know that a lot of us as advisors do like to offer an initial free consult. Now, I often get asked, why would you do that when you can charge for that? And often the comments here, to engage or not to engage, is exactly why. So as practitioners, remember that we're not obliged to engage somebody just because they come knocking at our door. It is a two-way interview process. And so just as we are going to obviously pitch to the client, and if it's a great client, we do want them to come to us. We want to onboard them. We want them to take our offering. But it is a two-way street. So the initial conversation is our opportunity as advisors to work out whether this is the client that we actually want to have. Now, sometimes it could be that that initial conversation, you actually meet with a client that isn't ideal and who you don't want to onboard, and that's actually okay. So we don't have to onboard everybody just because they knock at the door. And so why might we choose then not to engage? So just like I said, we don't have to engage every client, but why might we not want to engage a client? Well, looking at the list here, so the client isn't the right fit for us, and the right fit is quite broad. There's many different reasons they might not be the right fit. We could be an advisor who works in the mechanic industry, and our ideal clients are all mechanics, and they're the clients we want. So if a hairdresser comes knocking, they're just not the right fit because they're not our ideal client. There's a lot of other reasons that a client may not be the right fit for us. So misalignment of values and goals. So it's really important being in practice. We've got a lot of obligations to make to professional bodies, to ethics, etc. And it just could be a mismatch of those values and goals that we have in our practice versus our client. Unreasonable and excessive demands. So if you've got a client who says, I want to contact you 24/7, I want you to answer my phone call within 10 seconds. If you don't call me back within a 20-second parameter, then that might not be our client. That might be just too excessive. So again, setting those boundaries and understanding what our expectations are. So unprofitable or fee sensitiveness. So we're in business to make a profit. Let's not beat around the bush about that. That is what we're here to do. The same way that's what we want our clients to do. So we want to make sure clients we do engage are going to be profitable and are going to make us revenue and money. So poor communication and unresponsiveness. And so one of the things in the other webinar series that we've talked about is looking at bottlenecks or reasons that perhaps we don't get work out. One of the reasons could be a lack of communication with clients or a non-responsiveness or unresponsiveness. So if we've got a turnaround time of a certain period, we send a client a request for bank statements, for example, and we could have a 24-hour turnaround. If we've got clients who are just not willing to respond to those requests and just not willing to respond to our email or whatever form of communication, they may be a reason that we don't want to engage them. So financial concerns. So we need to make sure our clients are going to be able to pay us. We obviously are in business to make money. We need to pay our expenses, our fees, our subs, our insurances, our staff. So ethical, integrity, legal concerns that might pose risks or compromise your practice. And so remembering again those professional standards that we have to meet as professionals. So if there are any ethical or integrity or legal concerns there, we really shouldn't be engaging those clients. And in fact, in those instances, we may need to be reporting those potential clients to our professional bodies. So a lack of capacity or expertise. So this one is really important. I think it's really, really critical that we stay in our lane and that we understand what our lane is. I think it's great to challenge ourselves, but if our lane is preparing BAS returns, then we might not necessarily take on payroll work if that's not something we're an expert or qualified in. So lack of capacity, again, if we've only got staff capacity to take on X number of clients, it could be that even if we've got a whole lot of new clients knocking on the door, we're not able to engage those because we just don't have the capacity. We do know in our industry there is a shortage of labour. There is a shortage of qualified professionals out there. So capacity is really, really important. We don't want to engage clients and then not be able to service them or meet their expectations. And so the final thing, and I think this is really exciting to list here why we may choose not to engage, a new direction for the firm. And so it could be that your firm has done a big pivot. It could be that the last financial year you've decided to change your skill set and decided to change your service base. And so if we've previously offered individual tax returns, for example, we might be pivoting. We might now be saying, no, we will only engage with business clients. Or we could have previously not offered payroll services, but we've spent the last 12 months upskilling, and now what we want to do is become a payroll specialist. So that could be another reason we're not going to engage somebody who purely wants bookkeeping or BAS services if our pivot is to offer payroll, for example. So now I want to talk about why clients might want to leave us. So we've looked at why we might not want to engage clients, but the opposite side of that is we may have clients who want to leave us, and it's important to take stock and to take accountability for that. So the sort of things we're talking about here are a lack of responsiveness. And so leading on from that discussion on capacity and shortage of staff. So if we've got clients on our database and we're not responding to them, they're probably going to leave us because they're not getting the service that they want. So inadequate explanations. Now, this could be a combination of the first one here, a shortage of staff. It could also be that we just don't have the savvy to explain things in the way that our clients need it to be explained. So we can sit and talk in accounting talk all we want, but what our clients want us to do is to explain things in everyday simple terms. So a substandard service. So quality, accuracy, errors, or a long turnaround time. So all of these, again, are embedded in what we've just been talking about. Have we got enough staff to service the clients on our database? Do we understand what it is that we're doing for our clients, and can we explain it properly to them? If we've got issues with quality or accuracy, our clients don't want to have tax returns that are amended by the ATO or by ourselves because we've made simple errors. And long time turnaround. So again, have we got bottlenecks? If we're getting all the work in, but we're not able to get it out in appropriate timelines, it's not going to work for our clients, and they may want to leave and go to a different practice. So clients can't see the value. So it could be that they're looking at a high fee, in their opinion, compared to the benefits. So again, it's about us showing our clients what services we're offering and showing the value. So we want to come across as being a value for money service, and obviously giving them the option to see that what they're paying us is value for money. So lack of timely, proactive advice. So we're talking here about things like growth, success, tax planning, and obviously looking at avoiding problems that might be a potential for our client. And so what we would like to do nowadays as advisors is to be more proactive than we've ever been before. Cloud accounting has given us that ability. The opportunity to open our client's file and look at real lifetime data means that we can make decisions and help our clients make decisions right now, today, even on the cusp of the end of financial year. We can talk to our clients about things that may be beneficial to them from a growth or a success or a tax planning point of view. So unexpected tax bills. So a lot of us, I would hope nowadays, are talking proactively to our clients and engaging them on perhaps things like monthly billing or quarterly billing cycles, so that our clients aren't getting these unexpected tax bills. But I know traditionally where accountants would charge at end of year, it could be a big concern for clients where they had a huge accounting bill at the end of year and weren't necessarily expecting to be charged X or whatever it was. So again, being proactive and having those conversations with our clients, setting our clients up to regular billing cycles is going to mean that they're not getting those unexpected tax bills. Employee disconsent and turnover. So this is one of the reasons that I've seen in a lot of practices, particularly the mid-tier practices. I have seen clients leave these sort of practices because what they've seen as clients is they feel that every quarter they're dealing with a different employee who's preparing their BAS or a different employee who's doing their bookkeeping. The employees themselves aren't necessarily happy because every quarter they're dealing with a different client. And so where there is that turnover, it can mean that clients are going to leave, because what our clients want, particularly when we're dealing with their financial data, they want a continuity and they would like to have an ongoing, valuable relationship with either ourselves or someone in our team. So misalignment of values and goals. So we've talked a little bit about that in terms of working out what it is we're offering as a practice and what it is our clients want from us. And so the final reason there, that clients feel like they're a number. And so back on the employee discontent. So if the client feels that they're nothing more than just another BAS return or another end of year tax return, another set of compliance reports, they might just want to leave because they're not getting that ongoing engagement. They're not getting that proactive relationship from us. So leading on from that, let's look at identifying some opportunities for retention and for growth. And so that's ideally what we want in our practices, is to keep the clients that we've got. As we've said, it can take a lot to onboard a client. There are costs involved in the initial potential client conversation, potential client engagement, onboarding the client, etc. So let's look at how we can continue that retention and how we can continue the growth with our clients. So what is it that our ideal clients really want from us as practitioners? So the number one thing I've got there is they want value. They want to feel valued. Clients want goals. They want their goals understood, and we want to have our goals aligned. And I've always said it's a very easy alignment because I want my clients to be successful. And if my clients are successful in their business, however that is defined for them, it will mean that I can be successful in my practice. Compliance. So we talk a lot about advisory and other services, but for a lot of us, compliance is our bread and butter. We need to be helping and making sure our clients meet their compliance deadlines. They don't want to have unnecessary fees from the ATO because a BAS was late or a tax return was lodged late. So clients want business advice. They want to be able to call us as their trusted advisors and get advice when they've got something that they want to talk about. It could be as simple as, should I buy a new motor vehicle for my business? It could be more complex, but they want to know that we are somebody that they can talk to about those things. So growth and scale. So a lot of our clients are wanting to grow their businesses and they're wanting to scale. So what I've seen in my practice is a lot of clients who start off as a sole trader and they're quite small, and then they grow and they want us to take that journey with them. They want us to take them from a sole trader who's using maybe a QuickBooks Online Simple Start subscription right through to an Essentials, a Plus, and maybe a QuickBooks Online Advanced subscription where they've got multiple employees and they've grown their business and they've scaled up and they need things like workflows and tasks, etc. And so leading on from that, in terms of the growth and scale, is the entity and structure advice. So as advisors, obviously making sure that we are licensed to give that advice. But if it's appropriate, we can advise our clients. We can tell our clients whether we think they should be a sole trader or a partnership or a trust or a company, etc. So proactive and progressive advice. And so cloud accounting, like I said, has given us that ability. We've got access to our clients' live accounting data. We can see right now today where our clients are at and whether they're profitable right now. And so clients are wanting that active engagement. So they want us to be able to be proactive and talk about things like tax planning right now in terms of their businesses. Our clients are also looking for care and attention and good service. And so all of those things, I think, are fairly generic across a whole range of industries. The other thing our clients do really want from them is the ability to navigate those difficult conversations. And so in the economic times we're in, we may have clients who've got large ATO debts. We need to be able to dive into those conversations with our clients. And even though it's really, really difficult to talk to a client, we need to be able to say to them, hey, you've got an SGC audit, you've got ATO overdue fees because things weren't lodged. But we need to be able to have those difficult conversations. So I'm going to show you now a video, which is going to show some modern reporting in our QuickBooks Online reports. Let's have a look.
In this video, we take a look at how to customize the transactions without GST report using Modern View reporting. In the Reports area, select Reports. Here you'll see a range of standard reports displayed in different categories. Scrolling to the top, you will see Favorites. These are reports that have been marked by a star. On the Transactions Without GST report, this page icon indicates that the report will by default open in Modern View. Let's open this report to take a closer look. At the top, you'll see that there is an option to view the report in Classic View. Let's have a quick look at Classic View so we can better understand some of the differences between Classic View and Modern View. With the GST report now in Classic View, we'll select the report period, financial year to date. Now we need to select Run Report to refresh the data of this particular report. On the right, there are other options. In the Customize area, rows and columns can be customized. There are filters that can be applied, and there are also options to update headers and footers. That is a quick overview of Classic View. Let's head back into Modern View reports to see how it differs. As before, we'll enter a custom date, and automatically you can see the report is updated. This is a great time saver. We'll choose financial year to date. Here on the right, you can see various customization options. By clicking on Columns, 8 columns are shown. Those with a green tick are displayed. Scrolling down, you'll see a range of other columns that can be added into the report. When we remove some of these columns, the report automatically refreshes. You can select other available columns to add to the report. Let's select Created User. In the top columns section, you can easily rearrange the order that columns will be displayed. Again, the report will automatically be updated. In the report, you can sort the data from highest to lowest. Let's add a note about this particular report. For example, we could add some context for other team members. In this note, let's ask them to review the transactions and correct any if needed. In this drop-down, you have an option to send an email with that report to team members as well. So there you have it, a quick look at how Modern View brings flexibility and easy-to-use customization options to the Transactions Without GST report in QuickBooks.
And so the reason I wanted to show that report there was because sometimes when we talk about these difficult conversations, what we can do is use our software and come up with reports. In this case here, it was a transaction without GST report that could help us with one of those difficult conversations with our clients in terms of just showing them information.
In this video, we take a look at how to cut.
And so let's look at planning. So the other thing is when we talk about these difficult conversations, what we do want to do is look at planning. Planning is always key. And if you've been part of this webinar series, you will have seen me talk about this before. So we want to talk here about standardizing our workflows. We want to talk about visibility and then communicating with our clients. So we've got various tools available in our QuickBooks Online suite of products. We've got our work area that we'll talk about. We've got Books Review, we've got Prep for Taxes, and we've got QuickBooks Tax powered by Lodgit. So all of them are part of our QuickBooks suite and integrate seamlessly with each other. So our work area here is where we can set up different projects, and specifically we can set up tasks, which are the granular details and the things that need to be done within a project. It gives us that visibility across our practice and across our firm to see what is due and when it's due. And often this might be part of a pivot for a client conversation when we see that something is due, But if it is that we're not able to do that because we haven't got the information from our client, for example. So that visibility, like I said, so in our QuickBooks Online practice management, we've got a client portal. We can send out client requests from within the QuickBooks practice management. We can set due dates, and we have an area here for document storage. So it's going to keep our clients and our team accountable. So when we're looking at those client conversations, if we say to the client, well, you haven't provided the bank statement, so we haven't done the BAS, and the client says, well, you didn't let me know. Well, we can say, well, we've set up this automatic client request, so we do know that it's gone out to you. So looking at tools that we can use to make those relationships better and more efficient. So standardizing the workflows. So we looked before at using the work tab, and particularly the idea here is to create projects for different jobs that we have to do for clients and also within our practice. And noting that within the project, we have tasks, which are those granular details of what needs to be done in order to achieve the outcome of that project as a whole. So Books Review. Books Review is an area that's available only for QuickBooks Online Accountant login. So the clients don't see this area, but it gives us access to an area where we can compile all the end of year or end of quarter BAS work that needs to be done. It will show us anomalies and areas in the file that are a red flag that we should be looking at and sorting out before we're able to run our reports for the quarter and to prepare our BAS. So just as our Books Review is an area for the BAS agents and for people preparing BAS, our Prep for Taxes is an area, again, exclusive to our QuickBooks Online Accountant login. It's an area where we can come to look at everything for the end of financial year in a one view snapshot. So what we're going to see here is our balance sheet with all our chart of account lines and our profit and loss with all our chart of account lines in one area. We're seeing the current financial year compared to the previous financial year. We're seeing a percentage change and a dollar change. So it's a very, very easy way to look at any anomalies on our file, things, again, that might trigger those conversations with clients. We can also toggle here and look at a trial balance view if we want to do that. We can upload documents to our Prep for Taxes area. We can make notes and share them and collaborate across the team. And from within our Prep for Taxes area, we can download a work paper, which will also download an Excel template with all the financial data, as well as a PDF of any source documents that we've uploaded and added to the file. We can also, within the Prep for Taxes area, export the information here and the figures directly into QuickBooks Tax powered by Lodgit. So it's going to seamlessly push that data into the client's tax return without us having to duplicate or transpose any figures there. So QuickBooks Tax powered by Lodgit, it is an agnostic software. So it does integrate seamlessly with multiple softwares, particularly QuickBooks Online, Xero and My Business are all what we call dynamic connections. So if you are in those client files and you make a change, a quick click of the button in our QuickBooks Tax powered by Lodgit will refresh the data there. The other platforms that you see there, and there are multiple that also integrate with the Lodgit platform, you will need to re-import that data. So within our Lodgit platform, we've got a few tools here which are going to help us to work smarter, not harder. So turning on notifications so that we know when forms are signed or not signed or declined, etc. by our client. Turning on client reminders. And so this is a really great way of working smarter, not harder. So we can turn on client reminders and we can set it, in this case here, for every 5 days, but we can turn that up or down depending on how often we want to send them out. But if a client hasn't signed a form, the client will get an automatic reminder after those X number of days, and that will be generated by the system. So we're not having to come in and having to manually do that. So there's various email templates on the Logic platform, and we can customize those at a firm-wide level to suit our particular practice. One of the things that I do love about the QuickBooks Tax Powered by Logic platform is that as pro advisors, we do get access to free e-signatures. Now, just a star here, there are various terms. Have a look at your pro advisor status and talk to your partner manager. So the other thing I want to talk about now is identifying opportunities for retention and growth. So what we're going to talk about here is what additional services could we offer? So quite often we are set in that rut and we're often on that hamster wheel. We're offering the same services and we're doing the same thing day in, day out. But again, part of what we're doing now with our end of financial year is doing that reflection and having a look with external eyes at our practices. So are there additional services that we can offer? We do talk a lot about our compliance services, and I do think for a lot of us, that is our bread and butter. But can we offer additional services to the clients that we already have on board? So what sorts of services could we offer? So things like goal setting, things like business planning. I've seen a lot of business coaches out there who aren't necessarily financially savvy and don't necessarily have the right skills to be offering goal setting or business planning services. So is that something that we would like to do? Is that a pivot that we might want to take in the 25-26 financial year? So budgeting, and this could be both for individual, for personal clients and for business clients. So all too often we're caught up in looking reflectively on what's just happened the last fortnight, the last month, the last quarter. But can we engage our clients to proactively come to us for a budgeting service so that we're looking forward for our clients? And leading on from budgeting is looking at the numbers as a whole, but leading on from that is cash flow planning. And so we do live in a cashless or supposed cashless society, but cash is still king, and cash flow is so critical for our clients. Our clients won't survive if they don't have the cash to meet obligations. They need to be able to pay their BAS and their ATO liabilities. They need to be able to pay their super. So break-even analysis and charge rate analysis. So both are things that as pro advisors, we've got access to our clients' financial data. We can get these figures and we can get this information. So is this a service that we can offer to our clients and perhaps bring into our suite for our 25-26 service offering? So wage reviews, so particularly if you're offering payroll services, so looking at awards, looking at ROI, productivity, etc. So is that a new service offering that we could put out there? Financial health checks. So given the access to our cloud data, our client data, can we offer financial health checks? I know a lot of pro advisors who do offer this as a service. And it gives us the ability to jump in and look at a bird's eye view at the client's numbers and give them basically a financial health. We often go to our doctor for an annual health checkup. So what about we offer an annual financial checkup to our clients so that they can come in and get that service from us? Management accounting. So a lot of us on the call here are probably BAS or tax agents. And like I said, a lot of our revenues and fees are probably compliance. But let's not forget management accounting. Let's not forget looking at things like location tracking and classes within our clients' files. Let's not forget all the vast array of things, and we saw a little example of it with the modern reporting that we can use within our QuickBooks online files to drill into the client's data. Let's use the client's data to tell a story about their business and to give them a story and a area to go or a thing to reflect on. All of that is outside of compliance, and that's part of our management accounting. So training. So if you know me, you'll know that I love training. I love training SMB clients. I love training pro advisors. And so training is another area where you may be able to offer as a service in the new financial year to come. A lot of clients now, I find, are not necessarily able to outsource bookkeeping services as a whole. So a lot of my smaller micro SMB clients need to do their bookkeeping in-house purely for cost constraints. So what I will pitch to them is engage me for some training and let me teach you how to do it really well from the start so that you've got some good skills in your toolbox. Tax planning. So if you're able to offer tax services, looking at tax planning and being proactive, having a look at your clients' accounts in April, May, and the first couple of weeks of June. So are there decisions, are there things that we can do this side of the end of financial year and help our clients with? So regular coaching, so that could encompass a lot of what we've just talked about. It could be that there's a range of everything we've just mentioned that's packaged together in terms of a monthly or a quarterly coaching session that you offer to your clients. KPI monitoring. So if you've watched any of the other webinars, we've talked about KPIs and setting KPIs for our own practice, but also for our clients. So can we help them with key performance indicators and measuring things in their business that will help them to improve and to measure what really matters? And structure reviews. So again, remembering that we can advise our clients. If our client is a partnership, but we think they might be better off as a company, we're able to give that advice in terms of that structure. Could be the adverse that they're a company, but we think maybe they should wind down. Are they GST registered, but they don't need to be, etc. So thinking about all those additional services that we could potentially offer now for 25-26. So now we're going to talk about planning and looking at things like identifying all the services that we're currently offering. So we just talked about a whole lot of other things we may be able to offer, but let's actually identify what it is that we're offering right now in our practice. And let's review the profitability. So are we making money on our different clients and on our different service offering? And so having a look at the client data file and the financials and actually looking at where our clients are at and what we're charging those clients and whether that is working for us. The next point here, identifying obvious issues. So Division 7A, the accountants, tax agents on the call will understand that. A big profit or a big loss, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Are there additional services that we could be offering the client? Are there different tax strategies, etc.? And picking up the phone, checking in. So talking to our clients, actually recapping on their goals and plans, requesting any extra information or additional services that they might want and getting feedback. And so I love the idea then of actually picking up the phone. So all too often we're living in this sort of virtual world where we're meeting virtually with our clients or we're talking over email or over text, but actually picking up the phone and taking the time to have a call with them and actually check in. So looking then at our scope, new fees, new services. So a lot of what we've already talked about, but again, that time to reflect and to look at what we might be able to do different. So I want to talk about now about navigating difficult topics. So I want to talk about what is sort of on the hit list for 25 and 26. So what are our practice pain points? This is our time, like I've said, to take stock and to have a look. We want to celebrate successes that we've had within the last financial year, but we also want to take this time to be reflective. So what are the pain points in our practice? Is it bottlenecks? Are we not getting forms turned around in timely manner? Do we have staff who are leaving us and we're not able to retain? What's taking our energy in business? So what is it that's zapping all of your energy? What clients are we losing money on? So really looking on a client by client basis, particularly if you've got big revenues and a lower number of clients. So which clients are making you money, but which clients are losing or are we not making a profit on? And what services are we not losing money on? Are we losing money on? So are we investing our staff time in training them on payroll, but we're not actually generating any revenue from payroll services? These are all the sorts of things that we want to reflect on. So what's causing us as individuals, as practice owners, and what's causing our teams stress? And this is an important one to actually ask your team and to take to them. What's keeping us up at night? So what is it that we're not able to sleep on, or that we're waking at 2 or 3 a.m. when we're thinking about? And where do you think that you've got exposure? And what do we need to do better? So again, it's really looking at ourselves. It's quite a critical reflection, but it's really useful in terms of being able to embrace change and pivot and come out better for our 25-26 financial year. So a couple of secrets here to having successful conversations with our clients. So we need to sell to ourselves first. We need to justify our reasonings. We need to be able to keep our practice and our life goals front of mind. And this one here I really like, because remembering that we're in practice for more than just a financial outcome. We're in practice for our well-being. We want to be successful. We want to have a great work-life balance. Leading on from that, we want to feel the weight lifted from our shoulders afterwards. So we don't want to be stressed or burdened. We want to feel liberated, empowered, and in control. And we want to stop procrastinating. So if there are things that we need to talk to our clients about, if we've got a client who's not paying the ATO, or who's not paying ourselves, or we've got a client who's not signing forms and therefore we're going to be late on our ATO lodgement deadlines, we need to not procrastinate, and we need to have that conversation with our client. And the final point here, so ChatGPT can be your friend. It can be your best friend. It can be your confidant and your cheerleader. So you don't need to go it alone. If you're not sure how to have a difficult conversation, or you're not sure how to have a difficult email interaction, open up ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT, how can I tell my tradie client they are 4 BAS lodgements behind, in a nice way? And you can ask ChatGPT when it comes back with some text for you. You can ask it, can you make this a little bit nicer? Can you make it a little bit tougher? So use the AI resources that we've got at our fingertips to help us to work in that capacity. So looking at a summary here of our end of financial year client conversations done differently. So what we've talked about here is that client conversations are a time for review. So it could be a great time to give ourselves a pat on the back, and also our clients, but it's a time to review, to take stock and to reflect. It gives us opportunities for deeper insights into our client relationships, and looking at clients that we want to keep with us and clients that we may be ready to move on and to disengage. It gives us an opportunity to look at pricing and setting our fees differently, perhaps in the future, for increasing our own profitability in the financial year to come. And what we really want to do is to navigate those difficult client conversations with confidence. We want to be confident that it's okay for us to do that, and that we can do that with confidence where we need to. So we're getting to the end of our webinar today. what I want to point you out to here is to the QR code here, which will give you access to the rest of this end of financial year webinar series. So please use this quick QR code to be able to have access to all of our end of financial year webinars. I also want to point out the end of financial year hub. So again, you've got a QR code here. The end of financial year hub here is an excellent resource. You'll find productivity tips and hacks. You'll find end of financial year checklists. You'll also find access to webinars that are going to cover things like processes, KPIs, pricing, and more. And you'll also find virtual training sessions for accountants and bookkeepers and also payroll professionals. So I'm going to take a couple of questions now that have come in throughout the webinar. So I've got one question here, which is, what can I do where I'm having a conversation with a client about a profit and loss, but they just don't understand the numbers? And so I'm going to give a two sort of part answer here. So one of the things I would say is that use AI tools where we've got them. So something like Gemini for Intuit, for example, could be a tool that we use. We might upload a client's profit and loss, and just a disclaimer, if you're going to do that, don't upload with a client's name. So we can erase a client's name, we can upload just P&L information, but we can use a tool like Gemini for Intuit and ask the AI, give me some insights to talk to my client and make it really, really easy to understand. If you haven't used a tool like that, you'll be surprised at what it will come back with in terms of giving you different things that you can talk to the client about. The other part of the answer there is that I would say, have a look at whether we can use our QuickBooks Online software to come up with charts. And so looking at modern reporting, you'll find some different options in there where you can actually create a chart from the financial data. And sometimes for our clients, they really don't understand the numbers. I understand that. But if we show them a visual, a pie chart or a bar chart, suddenly it tells them a different picture. So that could be another way that we show our client information. And so I've got another question here about what do we do where our client just doesn't want to have a conversation about overdue obligations? This one here is a great question, and one of our other end of financial year webinars, we talked about clients that we may want to disengage. If you've got a client who's not willing to talk about the fact that they've got overdue BAS obligations, overdue tax obligations, it could be that we're making a decision, and this could be part of our insights into our own practice as at end of financial year. Maybe they're not an ideal client for us, and it may be that we want to disengage that client at this time for that reason. Not easy conversations to have, but certainly something that we may need to consider. So I would like to thank everybody for being on the call with me today. I hope you've got some valuable information. I'm going to hand back now to Christine to close us out for today's session.
Well, that brings us to the end of our session, Workload to Workflow, Client Conversations Done Differently. I hope you're leaving today with some fresh perspectives and practical strategies to transform your client interactions. Remember, it's not about doing more, but about doing what matters effectively. Start small, experiment, and watch the ripple effect of your workload to your client relationships. Emma, thank you so much for leading us through this insightful session today. Your expertise has been invaluable. To everyone else, thank you for your time, your engagement, and your commitment to doing things a little differently. I really enjoyed your conversations today. If you'd like to revisit any part of today's webinar, there is a recording that will be sent to your inbox within the next 24 hours. Thank you and have a great day. Bye.